They met up to watch a game. The next day, 3 of them were found frozen to death, and 1 was still speechless. Chapter 1. A nightmare that began on a cold night. 3 close friends, Kansas City Chiefs fans, gathered together with great excitement on the night of January 6, 2024. That evening, Clayton McGeeney, David Harrington, and Ricky Johnson went to the house of Jordan Willis, an acquaintance, to watch the NFL game and unwind. Such gatherings were commonplace for them, especially on game nights. Jordan, the host, was an old college friend. He had created a perfect game-time atmosphere with a screen and sound system he'd set up in the basement. Everyone was in high spirits. There was drinking, cheering, and plenty of laughter. The air was cold, but the atmosphere inside was warm. But the next morning, nothing was the same. All 3 men's phones were silent. There were no texts returned, no social media activity. Their families weren't initially alarmed. It was a circle of friends, so perhaps they had snuck out. But as the hours passed, their concerns grew, because they hadn't gone to work or returned home. This was against their nature. Family and friends tried to reach Jordan, but Jordan remained silent. After 2 days of no news from either of them, a family member went to Jordan's house. When the door wouldn't open, they headed to the backyard, where the horrific scene unfolded. Clayton's lifeless body lay petrified in the snow in the yard. Chapter 2. Unanswered questions, suspicious silence. The police were called to the scene. A thorough search of the house then revealed the bodies of 2 other friends, Ricky and David. One was found dead near the fence, the other on the back porch. All 3 men were wearing winter clothes, but what were they doing outside that night? The house was warm, and the basement was comfortable. They were all among friends. So why had they gone out? Jordan's statement was the strangest of all. When the police asked Jordan what had happened that night, his answer further confused them. "I went upstairs at some point during the night, then passed out. When I woke up in the morning, I thought my friends were gone," he said. This statement was far from satisfying. There were 3 bodies around the house. How had Jordan not noticed anything in his house for 2 days? Had he not gone out into the garden? Had he not looked out the window? Or why hadn't he seen his friends right under his nose? According to the autopsy reports, all 3 men had died of hypothermia, meaning they froze to death. There were no signs of severe trauma or external damage to their bodies. However, the families didn't immediately accept this conclusion. Why would 3 grown men freeze to death for no reason? "This isn't normal," they demanded. Social media erupted in outrage. Many believed Jordan had covered up the crime. Some claimed there were drugs in the house that night. An argument broke out, and things got out of hand. Others claimed Jordan had deliberately locked his friends out. However, police never confirmed any of this. Jordan, however, remained silent. Under public pressure, new statements were issued stating, "The scene is safe, there's no evidence of foul play, and there's no suspicion of foul play in any of the 3 deaths." This statement was particularly disappointing for the victims' families, who each felt their children didn't deserve to die in such a way. They believed Jordan was hiding something. At the very least, his failure to report it to the police was a crime in itself. Furthermore, the fact that he was the sole survivor of this trilogy of deaths raised suspicions. Jordan hasn't been seen much since then. He hasn't answered questions from families or journalists, nor has he spoken to the media. In statements made through their lawyers, they simply reiterated that the incident was a tragic accident, but the public refused to accept this. Part 3. Silence awaiting justice. Months passed. The incident was no longer discussed in the news but in YouTube videos and Reddit forums. The incident, known as the Kansas City 3, became increasingly shrouded in mystery. For some, it was simply a tragic winter accident, but for most, it was the story of a buried truth. The question, 1 person survives, 3 die, is this a coincidence? Still resonates. Jordan remains free. No charges have been filed. The families questioning the deaths of the 3 men have no answers. They have only reports, conflicting statements, and a multitude of lingering doubts. What really happened inside the house that night? Why did the 3 men go outside? Did Jordan not see them, or did he simply ignore them? We may never know the answers to these questions. But one thing is clear. 3 people lost their lives, but no one took responsibility. And perhaps that's the most painful part, because justice isn't just sought in courtrooms, it's also sought in the uncovering of the truth. That freezing night in Kansas City left behind not just frozen bodies, but also a frozen silence. And some silences speak louder than cries. This tragedy symbolizes not only the past, but also a case still unanswered today. If Jordan speaks one day, perhaps we can get a little closer to this truth buried under snow. But until then, this case will remain open in the minds of millions. If you enjoyed the content, don't forget to like and subscribe to the video. See you in another video. Goodbye.